Should be.
And the representatives are welcome to adhere and to designated areas guidelines.
To the can't this microphone, and the roadcaster was here when we started, and it's not there now.
It's this thing. This was the issue we were having before, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we will transition to our opening statements. After you are finished, please give your fellow candidate an opportunity to give their opening statement. You will have 5 minutes, and I would like to start with you, Story. If you could give us your introduction, please.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm so grateful to be here again for this discussion as we move into the general election. I'm humbled by the support that I received so far. I'd like to remind all of the eligible voters to please cast your vote in the upcoming general election. It's so important to exercise your right to vote. The general election is June 20th, 2026, so absentees must be mailed, postmarked by that date, or you can vote at the polls. I know that you want a professional, hardworking candidate to earn their spot at this level. I want all of you to feel that I can be that person. The qualities that I want to bring forward are mentorship. I can share insight and have meaningful discussions about the tribe's future, the tribal program's missions. I'm policy-driven and I am data-driven. I want to help reach the outcomes that we're all working so hard to achieve. I will also be a translator, and what I mean by that is I want to be able to clarify when things seem convoluted or confusing. I won't pretend to have all the answers, but we can work through the complex issues when they are at the table and when decisions have to be made. With my fellow council representative and the entire council, we need to be a buffer. We need to handle the noise and the rumors to the best of our abilities. I will also be a student. I am going to learn from every interaction and every decision made. I'll do this without seeking credit. And of course, a big one, accountability. I will take responsibility for the actions that we take and the actions that we don't take. I don't blame, I don't point fingers, and I'm honest and approachable. I've been challenged during this campaign period, asked what my plans are in the first few months. If I'm elected, I do believe that I can start contributing on day one. I'll also be focusing on reviewing programs, business missions, getting input from those programs and businesses on what their barriers are in working towards their mission. Is there something internal that needs changed? Are there external influences? Are policies being followed? I can also contribute and support immediately to the projects that are already in place and projects that are in the final planning stages. Those decisions that have already been made. I need to jump on board and work to the best of my ability. Our lived reality is that we're fighting daily against outside influences that want to capitalize on tribes. They want to exploit our resources, and it'll be done even under the guise of good intentions. So if we want to protect our sovereignty and our resources, we must function as a strong government. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Story, for your beautiful introduction. I will move to you, Becca, to give us yours.
Hello, I'm Becca. I just want to put out there that if I'm elected, I'll lead with honesty, transparency, and accountability. I will not engage in backdoor deals or sidestep actions. I believe the voices should be heard both on and off the reservation, not just the select few. I'll remain active in the community, listen carefully to concerns, and work with understanding what people need. I'll be accessible and available to the members whenever I am not needed at council table. There's a few keynotes that I want to hit on. One is public safety and the other is youth support. There's a lot of youth that are going through a lot mentally and emotionally that need to be addressed, and they need to be talked about, and they needed to be helped along the way. The other one is housing for like the elders to do tiny homes and things like that, that I think we could accomplish and kind of put an assisted living type thing in the districts. And just the fact that I can hit the ground running, I've proved it everywhere I went, and I'll be honest and open and be me.
Thank you both for your thoughtful responses. We will now begin our questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer. And I wanted to start off with Becca first. So our first question is, many tribal economies rely on a small number of revenue sources. Beyond maintaining what already exists, how do you plan to create future jobs and economic growth within the reservation?
Depends on what part of the reservation that everybody is keyed in on and focused in on. I think it's, instead of creating something new, there's already stuff in the works that people are passing down that I think we're wasting a lot of money in that area. So if we could circle back to what's already there and get it going and actually follow through with stuff, I think we would save a lot.
Thank you so much. I'm going to turn to you, Story. I will repeat the question for you. Many tribal economies rely on a small number of revenue sources. Beyond maintaining what already exists, how do you plan to create future jobs and economic growth within the reservation?
So our area must rely on our own geography and our history to bring people to the area, to build a stronger self-sufficiency. This whole Sampoil corridor is beautiful. It's for tourism. It's for people who are visiting. We have a beautiful park. We have, community store. We have a health center. And so making sure that those are functioning at their highest capacity, those will, build the economic growth. With the fiber project that's going in, that can open up doors for people wanting to do tech businesses or that need better technology to maybe start their own business. So that's an exciting project that hopefully is coming to the end soon and will be fully functioning. We do need to, my thought was hosting more events in our community. That brings people in. They will frequent our store. Again, they will frequent our health center if needed, and our community center. All of that brings some economic value to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Story. I'm going to turn it over to Lillian to ask you the next question.
All right, the next question, I'm going to start with Story, and it's going to be, every leader eventually faces difficult budget decisions. If funding becomes limited and you had to make cuts somewhere, what would you protect, what would you reduce, and why?
I think for budget-wise, I guess I would put the task out overall to look at maybe duplicated services that can be cut back. I mean, of course, you don't want to cut back employment. You can't cut back the work that is protecting our natural resources. So probably just duplication of services and being more efficient in the work that we do. Carpooling, saving money on fuel right now in our own tribal vehicles would be a huge one because we're all facing that. So I think that is the main thing that comes to mind is duplication of services. Try to cut back on that.
Okay, thank you so much, Story. And Becca, it's going to be your turn. I'm going to read the question again. It says, every leader eventually faces difficult budget decisions. If funding becomes limited and you had to make cuts somewhere, what would you protect, what would you reduce, and why?
I would protect the employment side. I would reduce like the excess fat, the people that are hired on doing things that somebody else is already doing. Pretty much the same story. But then there's also programs out there that have like not completed budgets and not completed up-to-date things that need to be looked at as well. That just kind of copy and pasted, and so that kind of needs to be addressed as well. So I would look into those.
Thank you so much, Becca. I'm going to hand it to Sunray next.
Alrighty, for this next question, I'm going to start with Story. Tribal members often want greater communication and transparency from leadership. What would you change so members could feel more informed and have a greater trust in tribal government?
Thank you. It's so important. And like I said in my opening, I would want to, clarify and be open to translating the complex issues, maybe things that aren't understood, or why was this decision made, being able to bring that forward, explain why it was made, maybe why I supported something or why I didn't support something, and just help to make people feel more comfortable in what is going on at the table. There's so much that we may not see, not being there, that we feel like is being done behind closed doors, or why was this decision made? And we have to be able to stand behind our decisions.
Thank you for your statement or answer to the question. Rebecca, it's your turn. Tribal members often want greater communication and transparency from leadership. What would you change so members could feel more informed and have greater trust in tribal government? And if you want, I can reread it.
I got it. So the biggest thing is a lot of people in this area still don't have Facebook. Going door to door, offering the phone number out there, bringing stuff back before it's decided at the table to discuss with the community and see what the people would like instead and give them a voice in actually what's happening, are things that I would change up.
Thank you for your answer to the question, and now we're going back to Joss.
Okay, so I'm actually going to start with Becca this time. Communities face challenges that include substance abuse, crime, mental health concerns, and family issue. Which issue would you prioritize first, and what would you do differently than what's already been tried?
Instead of looking at them all individually, it's all part of the generational trauma that is happening. That there are a lot of tribes that are further along in that process than we are, and so if to reach out and see what's worked, to get ideas to bounce off of, to see what's going to work within our area in order to help with each of them, but without healing yourself and coming to terms with what actually happened and what's actually wrong, I don't think that you're going to get very far without touching where it began.
Thank you, Becca. So, Story, I will repeat the question for you. Communities face challenges that include substance abuse, crime, mental health issues, and family issues. What issue would you prioritize, and what would you do differently than what's already been tried?
Sure, I think all of those issues go hand in hand. Unfortunately, substance abuse is probably at the forefront. It's hitting people younger and younger. We also know the statistics on suicide within our reservation and all Native communities. I think we have a group of professionals in those areas that we need to get at the table more often and actually have, I guess, actionable items that we can get out to the communities, that we can start measuring, that we can ask the community to be involved in. As far as crime prevention, again, everything is going hand in hand, but having a lack of officers and response time on the reservation is always going to be a challenge. So if we could tackle that one, I think we could make better progress as well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you both for your thoughtful responses. I'm going to pass it on to Lillian for your next question.
Story, I'm going to start with you again, and we're going to go on to the next question. Housing shortages, infrastructure needs, and land-related challenges affect many families. How would you feel you would be able to address these issues? Sorry.
Thank you. The Housing Authority did a comprehensive needs assessment last year, and we've taken that data and we're moving forward on projects. We have an apartment complex being built in Omak. We're breaking ground tomorrow actually on that, and we are ready to start. We've got our contractors ready. That's going to provide services or get people closer to services and opportunities there. Omak and Nispelem across the board have shown a greatest need. I think in Keller, we have a need, or we have a desire for home ownership, and for our working families, our maybe middle to higher income families want to own homes, and making properties accessible to purchase would help resolve that. And maybe helping people with their financial counseling so they can be in that position to purchase a home, to purchase land. And but every district on the reservation needs housing. There's no question about that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Story. I'm going to read the question again for you, Becca. Housing shortages, infrastructure needs, and land-related challenges affect many families. How would you feel you'd be able to address these issues?
By, like I said, there's things for, like, we could open up houses with, like, the tiny homes and different areas like that that would allow maybe single people or 1 or 2 bedrooms, and open up the housing that we do have to build on the housing that we do have. There's area available that we could do so here in Keller, and then, you know, opening up different places for purchase and all of that, I think would be a good start. And then just going off of, you know, instead of having 4 or 5 families in a home, you can allow them to reach out and broaden out and have their own area. So
Thank you so much, Becca, for your answer. And we're going to move on to Sunray.
Alrighty, this time I'm gonna start with you, Becca. Young people, or is it okay if I start the question? Okay. Young people often say they want more opportunities, but do not always see a path forward in their own communities. What specific opportunities would you create so youth choose to say return to home or invest back into the tribe?
I would open it up to giving them choices. showing them, you know, asking them what they're into, and then giving them avenues and different things that they could participate in, and then bring in what they need. I know, you know, a lot of them want a motorcycle track and things like that, that I've been talking with Pat about. And so there's areas where we can get their attention, and then from there, like, broaden the horizon and show exactly the big world that's out there, not just in our little community. Was one of the big goals that I had when I was part of the Boys and Girls Club. And so just to show what's out there, because a lot of them, they really don't know. They don't know what's out there. They don't know that they're capable. They don't know, you know, that it's there. And so that's what I would do.
Thank you. Beautiful answer to the question. Now it is your turn, Story. I'm going to repeat the question for you. Young people often say they want more opportunities but do not always see a path forward in their own communities. What specific opportunities would you create so youth choose to stay, return home, or invest back into the tribe?
I know that teaching life skills and hands-on learning is super important. It will give youth maybe maybe exposure to something they didn't even realize they were interested in. And that could be your life skills such as auto repair, maybe being out in the woods for some fish identification or tree identification, different types of field trips to our museums, and that type of exposure. And as far as, of course, promoting education first, I mean, that has to be paramount to get our youth through the high school track and seeking further education or skills. As far as coming back to the community, why would you not want to? Look where we live. And that's the truth. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. And now it goes back to Jocelyn.
Okay, so I think I will start with Becca this time. Economic growth and development often bring change. How would you ensure progress happens without losing culture, language, and values that define who we are as people?
Starting off with the foundation of the way, you know, the way Keller is, the way we come together, the way we look out for each other, the way, you know, the way it just kind of built in within families. You can run, you can play. You have certain family members that do certain things, and there's always another way. There's always a way to make everything happen and make it to where it's all coincides with each other. And I don't know.
Thank you. Okay, Story, I will repeat the question for you. Economic growth and development often bring change. How would you ensure that progress happens without losing culture, language, and define who we are as people?
I think culture and values can be part of economic development. We can host cultural events. We can get the generations together and discuss how things were done in the past, how businesses were run then, how we protected our natural resources, what businesses are doing now with new technology and new methods. And, you know, that can be education and bringing in our business owners to teach the youth about owning a business, starting a business. I think that's important, and that would help, you know, keep those values and keep our culture always at the forefront, you know, when we are running a business or starting a business.
Thank you. Okay, I am going to hand it off to Lillian again to get you guys started with your next question.
And Story, we're going to go with you. And the next question is, working with outside governments and organizations can create opportunities but also challenges. Where do you draw the line between building partnerships and protecting tribal independence?
I know that when we are looking at projects or looking at opportunities, we do need to partner with our network to maybe get resources from outside so that we don't have to use tribal resources for those projects. So it is very important to work with our outside governments and our outside networks. Again, just keeping our sovereignty at the forefront and knowing that there are obligations from the outside sources that they must follow, and that we do have the final say on the decisions that are made.
Thank you so much, Story. And on to Becca. I'm going to read the question again. Working with outside governments and organizations can create opportunities but also challenges. Where do you draw the line between building partnerships and protecting tribal independence?
You draw the line wherever it tries to cross over into our sovereignty, wherever it tries to cross over into what we don't believe in or we don't agree with. And just point blank, there's no going around that, because if you give an inch, then they take a mile. So that's not one that you switch around to.
Thank you so much. On to the next question.
Alrighty, I'm gonna start off with Story. Here's the question. Wrong question. Leadership is easy when everyone agrees. Tell us about a time you made a difficult or unpopular decision. Looking back now, what would you make the same choice again and why?
A true interview question. Wasn't prepared for. Tell me about a time when. I'd probably just have to go to maybe when setting policies and making those decisions, knowing that writing a policy for a program it's going to affect people differently, and knowing that this policy is going to help this person, but it's going to exclude this person, or in our case, this tribal member it will help, this tribal member it may exclude, and those are tough decisions to make. But you do have to look at your mission and what you're really trying to achieve, and you do have to make those tough decisions. Thank you.
Thank you for the answer. Rebecca, it's your turn. Leadership is easy when everyone agrees. Tell us about a time you made a difficult or unpopular decision. Looking back now, would you make the same choice again and why?
So the only one that keeps coming to mind is my dad. So I made the choice to go home thinking he was okay, not realizing how he really wasn't. And the thing I would change differently is not take it as it was just a bad day and walk away. So that's what I would change.
Thank you, and thank you for the answer to the question. I'm going to pass it back to Jocelyn.
Okay. Oh. So I will be starting with you, Becca. If a tribal member stopped you 4 years from now and asked what has changed during your candidacy? What would you respond with?
I would respond with unity brought back to the community, closer than, with the substance use and all that, we've lost a little bit of it. There's still a lot left, but hopefully a healthier, happier environment for our kids and for the people within our reservation boundaries, and changes that I want to say, but not now, that I want to focus on, and just hopefully that I'm here and still making everybody proud.
Thank you. Okay, Story. So I can repeat the question for you. If you were stopped by a tribal member 4 years from now and they asked what changed, what would you respond with?
I would hope that I could respond with that we have a more vibrant and cohesive community, more informed and educated. I would like to respond that there are better employment opportunities on and off the reservation, and that we are continuing, that we have healthier water and forests, and that we are continuing that to protect our natural resources. I'd like to also be able to answer with data and actual facts that are measurable, that we can be proud of.
Thank you both. Okay, so I am going to start the next question, and I think I'll start with Story. This question is particularly important to me. How will you support tribal youth, and what changes do you want to make?
I hope that our tribal youth feel comfortable approaching adults in the community, people that they seek help from. I want the youth to be able to state what they want in their communities, what they need help with. Even the grade school age, I want those kids to be proud that they're learning the language, and if they seek more, I want to be prepared to give them more. Have a plan in place. When they're absorbing something, have the next thing ready. Lots of available opportunities, and again, the hands-on learning, the life skills that they need, just to build confidence within our youth and know that there are adults that do truly care for them.
Thank you. Okay, Becca. How will you support tribal youth, and what are changes that you would like to make?
The changes I'd like to make is we have like Grand Coulee Dam that isn't brought up a lot, that tribal members get, privileged to. There's places they go that, like Wilbur School went out and did, where they did the excavators and the different types of, construction work and side learning that didn't have to do with college, but it allowed the kids to come in and learn. There's, you could bring in people that do motivational speaking. You could bring in, I don't know, you could bring in, I lost my train of thought. You could bring in, sorry, my dad thing got me. You could bring in all different types of people that can reach down at the level with the kids that have gone through what the kids have gone through, and show them that, look, hey, I've made it. You know, like myself, I am 22 years sober, and my family's drug-free and alcohol-free. You know, I broke the chain, and I'm proud of that, you know, and that there's a way out, and there's a different way of life that isn't what's in front of you right now. And so just to show the kids that is, I think, most important.
Thank you both. I'm going to pass it on to Lillian to get you guys started with your next question.
Okay, the next question is going to be, how will you protect our culture? And that is going to be for Story.
We have so many good teachers and very knowledgeable people in our community. We have educators that are really fighting to keep the culture being taught in our schools, and starting at a very early age, and then also working through the junior high schools and into high school, helping the kids with the language, with their regalia. I know that we have experts on our first foods, and people that just teach the self-sufficiency in our foods. And I want to support any type of activities in the community that do bring that culture in. We've been working to plan for some generational things to get multi-generations together so that we can learn in just a non-judgmental way, because there are people that just don't know or have never been taught. And so if we can bring groups together so that you can learn and pass that on. The language program has just been amazing, and it's good to see that coming back. So I'm really proud of that.
Thank you so much. And we're going to move on to Becca, and I'm going to reread the question. How will you protect our culture?
By bringing in like different types of teachers. There's like beading, there's hunting, trapping, there's different areas, the praying, the different type of ceremonies and stuff that we have that different people would be interested in. And so to bring that forth and start reaching out and seeing like who's into what and what they want to be doing, and then allowing, like having powwows and having the actual kids go out and hunt and things like that, and just teaching above and beyond what we're doing now and adding it more personalized to the community and to the kids and what they need. And then they bring it back to their parents, and it's kind of a circle thing. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. We're going to move on to the next question.
Alrighty, I'm going to start with Rebecca. Why should people vote for you?
Because in everything I've done, I've hit the ground running. I'm not part of any clique. I'm kind of part of them all. I don't look down on anybody. There'll be, like I said, I'll bring stuff to the people before it's decided on at the table. And I'm here to be the voice of Keller for Keller, and hopefully to start help healing and start help with the obstacles we have facing us right now, and to be open and honest about it, and open up with, just have an open door policy. And if, you need anything at any time, like I've been doing for the past, 20 years, I'm here. So, and I've always been there. So, and I hope to get your support.
Thank you so much. Alrighty, Story. Why should people vote for you?
I will always work in service, whether it is as your council representative or in any other job that I do. I'll always work for my community. Keller has half of the representation at that table than all of the other districts. And so we have to work harder, we have to fight harder for the things that we want. And I'm excellent as part of a team. I will stand my ground. If I see something that I don't feel is right, I will speak up. I believe in honesty, transparency, integrity, all of the things that you would want as a council representative. I want to ensure that the community is informed and informed of opportunities, informed of concerns. You know, not everything is positive. I think that the tribal membership deserves to know everything that's happening. I'm not a gossip. I don't share information that is not mine to share. And so I want the voters and I want the Keller District tribal members to know that I am approachable. I'm a listening ear, and I will take your concerns seriously. I'm a problem solver. I work hard at everything I do, and I will work for you, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to pass it back to Jocelyn.
Okay, so I'm going to start with Becca again. What steps would you take to ensure that tribal businesses are being managed effectively and held accountable for performance?
By making sure that they follow their policies, they have their budgets done, that if they have an issue that's ongoing, that's not fixed within a certain time, step in and ask why, see why, and just kind of being the buffer between everybody and helping out and seeing what needs to be fixed and how we can do it.
Thank you. Okay, Story, I will repeat the question for you. What steps will you take to ensure that tribal businesses are being managed effectively and held accountable for performance?
Sure, I would make sure that we are getting updated board reports from the boards that are overseeing those businesses. I would also make sure that audits are being done timely and being reported out correctly. I think that updated financials are important. We can't be looking at financials that are 6 months, a year, 2 years old. We need up-to-date financials so that we know what are the successes, what are the challenges, and then we need to hear from those managers, from those employees, from the people frequenting those businesses. What are you seeing? What's good? What can we improve on? And supporting those businesses for the employment, you know, for our tribal members that are working there and the employees that are working there, for the managers that are doing their best to keep those businesses running, and for expansion and improvements. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to hand it off to Lillian to get you guys started with your next question.
I'm going to go a little out of order, but this question seemed important to me, so. How would you work alongside the Youth Council to help guide and support young leaders while also collaborating with them to promote solving issues affecting youth in the community? And we're going to start with Story. Yes, sorry. How would you work alongside Youth Council to help guide and support young leaders while also collaborating with them to promote solving issues affecting youth in the community?
All right, well, I feel after these council forums, I feel like I could learn a thing or two from you guys. You're wonderful. I would, you know, schedules are hard, schedules are busy, but I would love to see Youth Council at more tribal events, more important meetings, even if you're not contributing, just being there, just listening and learning is so important. And then it will give the younger ones coming up a desire to join that youth council. I've seen some of the events that you've attended, and just top notch it is. I appreciate everything that you're doing, and involvement is so important. You know, having something to be involved with, having a schedule, having things to look forward to, and being that good role model. If, you know, the business council needs to be a good role model, absolutely, if you're gonna be the ones coming up. And then, of course, we're putting it on you to be that good role model for the younger ones. And, you know, I think working together, we can do that.
Thank you so much, Story. And I'm going to reread it for you, Becca. How would you work alongside Youth Council to help guide and support young leaders while also collaborating with them to promote solving issues affecting youth in the community?
First of all, listening to what you guys have to say. That's key. And learning, you know, exactly, because teens talk to teens more than they talk to adults. And to learn exactly where we're at with things and how to, and give you guys ideas on what you could do to make something better, do scenarios to help learn, and then allow you guys to present it back to the teens so that they don't see it as a guidance from adults. They see it within, you know, you guys start building your strength together, like we did as teens, and to encourage everybody to participate, you know, and then just teach. Like do it like a shadow day and things like that, and allow you to go out and do all the amazing things you guys are doing, and, you know, broaden your horizons.
Thank you, Becca. Actually, thank you both. I loved both your answers, but we're going to move on to the next question.
Alrighty, this time we're gonna start off with Rebecca. Ready? Yep. Okay. If you fail to follow through your key campaign promises, what should tribal members expect from you, and how will you be held accountable?
You'd be held accountable by being voted out. But you're not going to get to everything in just 2 years. That's just a realistic, you know, your goals are out there. There's going to be things changing. Everything's evolving and changing. And just letting people know why and how things happen. And like I said, bringing it back to them and letting them decide, you know, hey, if I do this, we're not able to do this. And just kind of keeping it open all the way through so that at the end of the term, you're not sitting there looking at them with a bunch of new promises and acting, you know, as if that didn't matter. So.
Thank you so much. Alrighty, Story. I'm gonna repeat the question for you. If you fail to follow through on your key campaign promises, what should tribal members expect from you, and how will you be held accountable?
I think the time at the table is what is going to hold a person accountable, how they respond to the actions that are brought forward, and what you have to contribute at the table. Like Becca said, 2 years is a short amount of time, but if I were told, you haven't done this, you told me you were going to do this, you haven't done it, I would hope to have an answer on these are the challenges, I am still working on this, I am still working towards this. This had to take precedence for these reasons, and have an explanation and maybe a plan to get back to those promises that were made. And that's the most important, because that will show that you're trustworthy, that you are working hard, and that you can be held accountable, and that you haven't forgotten what people expect of you.
Thank you both for your thoughtful responses. That was our last question. And to wrap up our candidate forum, I wanted to start with our closing statements. Your closing statements will be 2 minutes long, and I will start with Becca. If you can give us your closing statement, please. Oh, 5 minutes. On the paper it says 2, but I meant 5.
My closing statement is, I'm not here to sit here and promise a bunch of things that aren't going to happen. That's why I kind of like to leave everything short and sweet, as far as my letters go. I'm here for the community on and off the reservation, and I've always hit the ground running, and my motto is, that you be the change that you want to see. And in order to achieve some of the stuff that I want to see done within our community, I believe you need a seat at that table, and then you need the backing behind you in order to do so.
Thank you. Okay, Story, if you would like to give us your closing statement, please.
Sure. Again, thanks for holding this forum. I just want to, state again that if elected, I look forward to working with the Business Council to tackling the challenges head on. I want to support our tribal membership. I want to support our community. I will always be here for Keller. I will be available, and